Welcome to day 19 of our epic 40-day 2025 Pacific Northwest road trip as we travel 262 miles from Klamath, California to my cousin Tina's home in Depot Bay, Oregon. Along the way, we explore the breathtaking Pacific coastline in Northern California and Oregon along Route 101. U.S. Route 101, known as the Redwood Highway, is a scenic historic route running through massive redwood forests, coastal mountains, and rugged coastline to the Oregon border. It passes through Redwood National and State Parks and offers a mix of towering nature and charming coastal towns. Our first stop on this route was at Wilson Creek Beach. Here we are early in the morning on Saturday, and we're headed up the California coast. This is on Route 101, and here's what the coast looks like. We're just north of Klamath, a few miles. Wilson Creek Beach is a secluded, scenic half-mile stretch of dark gray sand and rugged shoreline in Del Norte Coast Redwoods State Park. It's famous for its dramatic coastal views, massive piles of driftwood, and large offshore rocks. The prominent rock formation visible in the water is False Klamath Rock, an eroded sea stack formed by colliding tectonic plates, the Gorda Plate sliding beneath the North American Plate. It is a vital ecological site and a designated special closure area. It serves as a massive nesting site for nearly 45,000 birds. This large prominent sea stack seen in the distance is Footsteps Rock. This formation consists of several sandstone towers that drop directly into the Pacific Ocean. About 2 miles north of Wilson Creek Beach is this overlook. The view is partially blocked by the hill and trees. Here's another view of the same coastline. Here can be seen False Klamath Rock framed by the region's dense coastal foliage. A little bit more of the coast. And looking out towards Hawaii. Here is a closer view of the Footsteps Rock sea stack. Continuing on 101, which I believe they call the Redwood Highway. Gee, I wonder why. We next stopped at the Crescent Beach overlook at the Redwood National and State Parks entrance. This is Crescent City Harbor as seen from the entrance to the southern part of, to Redwoods National and State Parks. This sign provides a historical overview of Crescent City Harbor, highlighting its evolution as a shipping hub for the lumber industry since the late 1800s, exporting local redwood, spruce, and Douglas fir. Dangerous offshore shoals have historically caused numerous shipwrecks, including the Brother Jonathan in 1865. Today, the harbor serves as a critical refuge for ships and supports commercial fishing, sport fishing, and recreational activities. This sign describes tsunamis as a series of waves or surges, most commonly caused by an earthquake beneath the ocean floor. In the deep ocean, these waves can travel at speeds of up to 600 miles per hour, while appearing only a foot tall. As they reach shallow water near the shore, they slow down, shorten, and bunch up, becoming much higher. Through the trees, we can see Crescent City Harbor. Our first stop after crossing the Oregon border was Harris Beach State Park, located just north of Brookings on the southern Oregon coast. This is our first stop along the Oregon coast, Harris Beach State Park in Brookings, Oregon.
You locked it, right?
No, I didn't. This sign, titled Tide Pool Etiquette, encourages respectful behavior around delicate marine life. It highlights several species that thrive in the Pacific Northwest's intertidal ecosystems. This includes the harlequin duck, which is often seen nesting or foraging in coastal wetlands in intertidal areas, the sea star or starfish, which is frequently found clinging to exposed rocks during low tide, green anemone, colorful organisms that can appear saggy when the tide is out, and others such as chitons, sculpins, turban snails, mussels, limpets, and seaweeds. Here's the path we've been taking. Continuing down the pathway to the coast, and I guess we can look at tide pools if the tide's out. And the trail down to the beach is kind of cool, going through almost a tunnel of overgrowth. There was someone clipping the various picker bushes. Looks like there's blackberries. Looks like people have built little structures as we go out onto the beach. And here's Mary coming down the pathway. The park is renowned for its dramatic sea stacks and vibrant marine life. It is home to Bird Island, also known as Goat Island, the largest island off the Oregon coast, and a protected national wildlife sanctuary where rare birds like tufted puffins breed. And here we are at the coastline, and people just build little structures out of the driftwood. Driftwood is any woody remains of trees, including branches, roots, or whole trunks, that have been weathered by the action of water, winds, and tides. Typically found on the shores of oceans, lakes, and rivers, the wood is often gnarled and smooth due to natural erosion. It's roughly 9 o'clock in the morning right now. Looks like the tide has come in a little bit. I don't know if there are any tidal pools we can really see. Maybe further down there. A sea stack is a steep vertical column of rock in the sea near a coast, formed over thousands of years by wave erosion, hydraulic action, and weathering that separates rock from the mainland. These transient coastal features often evolve from caves to arches, eventually collapsing into freestanding pillars before eroding into low-tide stumps. This is a close-up of Bird Island, also known as Goat Island, the largest island off the Oregon coast. Covering 21 acres, it serves as a critical national wildlife sanctuary and is part of the Oregon Islands National Wildlife Refuge. We're just a little too late to really look at the tide pools. Can see a couple things. We had missed the low tide, which had come at 7:45 a.m., about an hour and a half before we arrived. There were still a few small tide pools to observe, however. Here we can see a variety of organisms found in the rocky intertidal zone. This includes periwinkle snails, Litorina litoria, which are clustered at the rocks and sand interface, barnacles, Balanus glandula, the light-colored crusty patches on the rock, and Mastocarpus papilitus, a species of red algae commonly known as Turkish washcloth. And people like to build these little structures with all the driftwood that's around. You can see how much there is. Makes it easy to build these structures on the beach. This structure is a driftwood fort, a popular temporary shelter or art installation commonly found along the Pacific Northwest coast of the United States. These structures are typically built by beachgoers using the abundant driftwood washed up on the shores. We now enter the Samuel H. Boardman State Scenic Corridor, a breathtaking 12-mile linear state park nestled on the rugged southwestern coast of Oregon, stretching between the towns of Brookings and Gold Beach along Highway 101. Named after Oregon's first state park superintendent, this pristine 1,400-acre corridor is world-renowned for its steep forested cliffs meeting the Pacific Ocean, dramatic sea arches, offshore sea stacks, and hidden sandy coves. Our first stop on the corridor was Lone Ranch Beach. This southernmost stop features easy sandy beach access, tide pools, picnic tables, and fully accessible restrooms. This is another part of the Oregon coast. Gotta say it correctly. Not going to go all the way down to the beach. Just stay up here. There's a lot of the coastline to see still. Lone Ranch Beach is a serene crescent-shaped day-use state park located about 4 miles north of Brookings, Oregon. As part of the Samuel H. Boardman State Scenic Corridor, it is famous for its dramatic sea stacks, soft gray sand, and accessible tide pools. We next made a brief stop at the Cape Ferrelo viewpoint. This overlook features a 1-mile loop trail which climbs the grassy slope to the top of the cape for views of the rugged coastline, but we elected to not hike this trail. This is another overlook on the trail or road. This stunning coastline is known for its dramatic rocky sea stacks, expansive grassy bluffs, and panoramic views of the Pacific Ocean. It is a prime location for observing whales migrating along the coast during the winter and spring months. We next stopped at House Rock Viewpoint. At House Rock Viewpoint is a memorial that commemorates Samuel H. Boardman, the first Oregon Parks superintendent. Trails from this viewpoint lead to secluded beaches via beautiful stands of old-growth spruce and red alder. And I forgot to say that this is the Samuel H. Boardman State Park. This commemorative bronze marker honors Samuel H. Boardman, known as the father of Oregon state parks. It describes how he pursued land purchases and donations to preserve Oregon's most spectacular landscapes for all of us and for the future. This 12-mile coastal preserve was named in his honor on the eve of his retirement in 1950. This monument commemorates a significant land donation by Borax Consolidated Limited, the predecessor to United States Borax and Chemical Corporation, in September 1950. This gift included roughly 304 acres and was the first grant of its kind made to the Oregon State Parks System. This is called the House Rock Viewpoint. We're still on the same Beckman Highway. House Rock offers an expansive panoramic vista of the rugged Oregon coastline. To the south, you can sometimes see into California, while looking north reveals the cliffs of Cape Sebastian Scenic Corridor. We next made our way to Arch Rock Viewpoint. Arch Rock was a significant landmark for the Tolowa tribe living in this section of the coast. According to legend, Coyote, a frequent character who teaches ingenuity and explains the inexplicable, was left to starve on Arch Rock after playing a prank on the other animals and people. Undeterred, he cleverly made his way back to land by gathering a basket of mussels and throwing them into the water. Each mussel magically grew into a small island, allowing Coyote to use them as stepping stones to shore. Here is a close-up of the Arch Rock Viewpoint area. I first tried the trail going north. I thought this was going to be a nice easy trail, but apparently the viewpoints are all blocked by trees, so I don't think I will continue on. We now made our way to the main loop trail. This is the Arch Rock viewpoint. I have a feeling the Arch Rock is what I'm pointing at right now. Unfortunately, we didn't stop there because it was all of these are left-hand turns off of 101, and often the traffic is going very, very fast behind you, and they don't give you much warning. And I take it back, this is the real Arch Rock viewpoint. Not sure exactly where it is. We made our way down the trail to the main viewpoint. And there's Arch Rock sitting right there. Arch Rock Viewpoint is a popular scenic stop located at milepost 344 within the Samuel H. Boardman State Scenic Corridor on the southern Oregon coast. It features a massive natural rock arch standing about 500 feet offshore in the Pacific Ocean. There are breathtaking views of the arch and surrounding sea stacks from an overlook at the end of the short, easy trail. This massive sea stack is Arch Rock. This natural bridge was formed over eons as wind and waves eroded cracks and crevices in the coastal rock, eventually creating a sea cave that collapsed to form the arch. This interpretive sign is titled Arch Rivals on the Rock, Why Seabirds Flock to Islands, and highlights several seabird species that utilize offshore rocks for nesting. Offshore rock formations and sea stacks serve as vital predator-free sanctuaries for nesting marine birds. The described birds are pigeon gallumuts, detailed under flashy seabirds for their distinctive bright red feet and mouth linings used to attract mates. Pelagic cormorants highlights their nesting habits on steep, narrow, rocky ledges. Black oyster catchers showcases their dark plumage matched with bright red bills used to forage along the shoreline. And finally, western gulls, and it mentions how they aggressively defend breeding territories on the rocks. Our final view is facing south towards Deer Point. This is another viewpoint from the Arch Rock. Very small trail. To the beach down there. This is a large unnamed sea stack just to the south of Arch Rock. This view shows Spruce Island, a dramatic tree-topped offshore sea stack. Unlike the mostly barren offshore rocks nearby, this unique geological formation is prominent enough to support a dense cluster of resilient Sitka spruce trees that thrive amid the ocean salt spray. There is no access to this unnamed beach and cove to the south of the viewpoint. Our next stop was the Myers Creek Beach viewpoint. Myers Creek Beach is part of the Pistol River State Scenic Viewpoint, a 450-acre state park located along the rugged dunes of the southern Oregon coast. The area is famous for its dynamic river system, sweeping sand dunes that grow during spring and summer, and world-class ocean windsurfing conditions. Strong coastal breezes make this a premier destination, hosting multiple national windsurfing championships. Local lore states that pioneer James Mace lost his pistol here in 1853. It was later the site of the historic Rogue River Indian War battle in 1856. Next along the way was Kissing Rock. Kissing Rock is an iconic shark fin-shaped sea stack located on the south end of Gold Beach, Oregon. While some see the shape as two figures kissing, local lore suggests it earned its name as a popular romantic gathering spot for couples in decades past. The Kissing Rock is a product of millions of years of erosion. The rock formations themselves are made of sandstone, sedimentary rock formed from layers of sand compacted over time. The persistent forces of wind, rain, and ocean waves have chipped away at the softer parts of the rock, shaping it into the kiss-like configuration we see today. This location is a pull-off approximately a mile south of Sisters Rock State Park. This is some rather interesting scenery. Unfortunately, I couldn't do it slightly earlier, where there's probably a better view from the other side. But still, this is pretty cool. This sand dune serves no purpose other than to block the view of Sisters Rocks. This small rugged headland jutting into the Pacific Ocean is known as the Devil's Backbone. This striking geological feature forms a narrow rocky spine and features jagged cliffs and offshore sea stacks that create Wind Cove, a shallow protected beach area to the south of this viewpoint. The next viewpoint was at Sisters Rock State Park. And just some more of the Oregon coast. This scenic area is characterized by three massive volcanic stacks known as the Sisters Rocks, which dominate the landscape. Two of these peaks are connected to the mainland, while the third is an island roughly 750 feet offshore. These are two smaller unnamed sea stacks at Sisters Rocks. Here you can see Humbug Mountain in the distance. This pull-off offered a closer view of Humbug Mountain. Here's a mountain just rising out of the Pacific Ocean. Standing at 1,756 feet, Humbug Mountain is one of the highest mountains in Oregon that rises directly out of the ocean. Crossing a big bridge now. Don't know what it's going over, but I imagine it's some river.
It's fancy.
It's
A lot
always
of dunes over there.
yeah. McCullough Memorial Bridge, also known as the Coos Bay Bridge, is a historic long cantilever span that carries U.S. Route 101 across Coos Bay. Completed in 1936, it was the longest bridge in the state highway system at the time and remains one of the most recognizable icons of the Oregon coast. It features a unique mix of Art Deco, Gothic, and Art Moderne design elements. We made a stop at the Baker Beach Trailhead. Not sure exactly where we are on the Oregon coast, but it's a nice view. We're just past where all the dunes were. The Baker Beach Trailhead is a coastal access point located inside the Siuslaw National Forest, roughly 8 miles north of Florence, Oregon. It sits on the northern edge of Oregon's famous 50-mile dune region. Our next stop was at Sea Lion Caves. I guess this is sea lion caves. I don't see any sea lions, but I think it's on the other side of the wall. There, I guess the sea lions are somewhere down there. But I don't think we're gonna go down to look at them. Sea Lion Caves is America's largest naturally formed basalt sea cave and a privately owned wildlife sanctuary. The sanctuary serves as a protected habitat for wild stellar sea lions. Visitors enter through a roadside gift shop and descend 200 feet down into the 12-story high cavern via a rock-carved elevator. Unfortunately, the elevator was out of order that day and would require a descent via stairs. There were also no sea lions present as they had not yet returned for the winter. As such, we decided not to take the tour. Our next stop was at Little Creek Scenic Overlook. Here's another nice piece of Oregon coast. We're probably about 30 miles or less from Newport, Oregon. I think less than 30. The Little Creek Cove Scenic Overlook is a roadside viewpoint near Seal Rock, Oregon that offers a view of the rugged Pacific coastline, sandy beaches, and seasonal whale spouts. We next stopped at Devil's Punch Bowl State Natural Area. Here we are where the Devil's Punch Bowl is. I don't believe it's on this side, but some beautiful birds flying. Some more of the area. These are some of the sandstone cliffs at Devil's Punch Bowl. Here's some more of the area.
You even see the ocean.
You what? Goggles?
Devil's Punch Bowl State Natural Area is centered around a massive sandstone sea cave whose roof collapsed over millennia. It provides a dramatic viewing platform where visitors can watch ocean waves violently churn and foam inside the rocky cauldron. And that's the Devil's Punch Bowl. The Punch Bowl structure was formed when two sea caves carved into sandstone cliffs collapsed, creating a large bowl-shaped cavity open to the sky. At high tide, Pacific Ocean waves enter the bowl, creating turbulent, swirling water. During low tide, the feature is accessible from the beach, allowing visitors to walk inside. Unfortunately, it was neither high nor low tide when we arrived. Our day of touring complete, we made our way to Depot Bay, to the home of my cousin Tina and her husband Roger. It had been over 20 years since we had last seen each other, and she and Roger were excellent hosts to Mary and I. We had a great time reminiscing about the wonderful times our families spent together, going back to the early 1960s. We talked late into the evening and even learned a few new things about each other. We love you and hope to see you again. Mary and I thank you for watching Day 19 of our 2025 Pacific Northwest road trip. where we toured the Pacific coast of Northern California and Oregon and then spent an enchanting evening with Tina and Roger. We hope you'll join us for day 20, where we travel to the Oregon interior to spend the day at Newberry National Volcanic Monument before spending the evening in the Columbia River Gorge.